it, brother, up this long and narrow road? Or do you need somebody to help you carry the load? Well, sit down, let us talk for a little while. Oh, and I'll help you walk, I'll help you walk the next mile. Yes, I will now.
It is the OGs at 11. We are live and well, even though we had a few setbacks this morning. Our host was not in place, so we wanted to make sure that we put him in place before we got started. Today we have a dynamic group of folks. We got a couple of people that I know fairly well, and they have an interesting story. And the storylines continues to go, and we're going to make it grow longer. As the day gets started, my name is Lewis Jackson. I'm your co-host. To my far left is the host, Donald Farmer. And we're going to get started shortly. But first, we want to let you know that we are brought to you by the Russian firm, A to Z Imprint. The Russian firm will fight your case regardless of whatever it is. If anything legal, they can take care of it. The A to Z Imprint will imprint your dreams. They say there's over 400,000 products in their line, and any one of them will be printed as long as it's legal. And he said sometime tomorrow, but we know if it's legal, he'll do it. Tomorrow, if you pay him enough, he'll do it. Miss Betty will put you in a house. You don't have to worry about your income. You don't have to worry about your credit. You have to make sure you got a job. If you ain't got no job, don't call. If you can't see your house, Lawrence got iwatchmyhouse.com. You can watch it from wherever you are. If you're in England, you want to make sure what's going on at your house, let them install a security system that can track. And you can watch it yourself. You don't have to have nobody else watching you and calling you. You can see what's going on yourself. And we also brought to you by Will to Save Lives. Something to save lives. Let me get it right. When I said that, my host looked at me saying that I didn't know what I was talking about, but I know it's something to save lives. I had to make sure that you were on top of it so you look and see. So something to save lives this is an organization that was created by this office to help those that are less fortunate, those that have been in the prison system, those who have had drug problems, and those who have been out of the system, as they want to say. If you get out, we want to help you. If you're in there, we want to help you. And we want to keep you from going there. They do a great job. Once again, my name is Lewis Jackson. I'm the co-host. I'm going to turn it over to you, Donald Farmer, let you introduce our guest. And if you didn't learn enough about our guest to introduce them, shame on you.
Yeah, shame on me. Well, good morning. Glad to be here. Glad Mr. Jackson made it. We understand why he was running a few minutes late, but he's got on a new shirt today. And it takes a little time to look that good, so it took him a little extra time to get here this morning so he can look extra good.
Yeah, I sure do looking good.
Because he knew he was going to have the guest that he was going to have, and he wanted to impress. So I don't know who he
dressed to impress.
I don't know which one he wanted to impress, though. However, with that said, I think I got a pretty good idea. But our guests today, they have remarkable stories. They have They have some dreams that they want to talk about. They have some ideas and some different venues that they want to share with you. And they also want to talk about some of the things that got them to where they are today. Unfortunately, however, fortunately, the co-host knows these two guests, and he didn't send me anything on them. But me being a perceptive person, I could look at them and see what they were all about. So with that said, I introduce guests like this every week. I'm not going to change. You know more about you than I know about you. So at this point, we'll start with the reason why he got him a new shirt on today. And took a little longer to brush his hair
and sit in the right
tidy
seat.
up. Yeah. And we'll let the female introduce herself first.
Hello, my name is Chantaye McLaughlin. I've been CEO of a couple of companies, but in the last 6 months, I've been diagnosed with schizophrenia. I've been on the 13th floor of Grady. I've been to jail, and I was court mandated into a transitional housing program, which has kind of taught me to be able to tell my story a little bit more of being raped, of dating kingpin drug dealers, and just me in the process of recovering my life. And that's it about me.
Oh, no, that's not it about you, but that's a good intro. So with that, we want to move over to the gentleman.
You know that fella's brother, don't you?
Yeah, I know his brother's. And in fact, I want to say that he's one of the nicest guys I've ever met, and a real person. So I expect the same out of you.
I don't know. Anyway, my name is Bob Whitley, and most I can say about me is I'm just a country boy, but I use drugs
Wait
for
a
a long
minute,
time.
you got to get another title.
Okay.
That's his line.
Yeah, that matters.
That's his line.
Yeah, but I spent a lot of time in and out of jail because I used a lot of heroin in my lifetime, and as it stands today, I've been clean 27 years, and just happened to run into Chantaye here at the Making Way Housing where she got mandated to, because I go in and I do an NA meeting over there every day at 2:00, and that's where I met Chantaye, and I don't know, after that, after I met her, based on some of her experiences and stuff like that, I just felt like she needed a friend, somebody that would kind of like look out for her and kind of like help her to be all right with who she is as a human being, and that's kind of like what I've been doing for the past couple of months, and I do that on a regular basis for a lot of drug addicts and people that are kind of like been down on their luck, because God has been blessed me well, and I don't know what else I can say, I mean, there's probably a lot more that can come out at some point, about who I am as a human being, that kind of stuff, but I'm going to leave it up to your host because I'm still trying to figure out what this show is all about. All I know is I'm just glad to be here.
Well, believe me, before the show is over, you will know what it's all about. We promised that.
Yeah, we promised you that.
Yeah.
But I just got one thing. I want to say one or two things. Usually I'm the quiet one, but I got one or two things I want to say. Is that Bob invited me over to one of their meetings. Is it AA meeting?
NA.
NA meeting. Okay, I get it wrong. I'm used to AA. Okay. So
wait, hold on, y'all.
Okay, well, we gonna explain what it is.
Ignorance is on my behalf, but
yeah, NA is Narcotics
Anonymous.
Okay, thank you.
So I was invited over, and amazing that they got people there that come every day, and just like Bob, he said he hasn't used it in 27 years, but he's there every day. So they're more committed to that than most folks to their job because they know that they got a weakness, I guess. And I'm not saying that, I used to do a DUI school, and we always say, once alcoholic, always alcoholic. You take one day at a time. So I'm not sure that's the way they look at it at the Narcotics Anonymous, but I know that's the way they look at it. And it was just amazing. Folks was there from, as he said, been there you clear 20 years, 15 years, all the way back down to a couple of weeks. And they got what they call the newcomers. And I like the idea that they have sponsors, that somebody like Bob is sponsoring, like Chantaye. He, whatever it takes for, she can call him at any time, from what I understood from the meeting, and that he would be there. That there's, so that's a commitment that most folks don't have. And that's a commitment that we as a people got to have as a group. And, and I'm saying this about him because he runs a business. He has his own business, and he take every day, he closes his business up to go to be that to help somebody. And he could look at it and say, I'm losing money. But I guess he's saying that I'd rather save some lives than lose a couple of dollars.
Okay, I think this is a good point now for us to define what the show is all about. Okay, the show is about having an addiction and bouncing back and helping others along the way. And it's great to have both of you here so that we can explain this to so many of our viewers, because this is a realistic situation in a lot of folk lives. You can look at a person and tell they're drunk most of the time if they're drunk. You can't really look at an truly too. Sometimes you can't even look at an alcoholic and tell it's an alcoholic. And then when you get to the drug use, a lot of times you can't look at a person and determine that. So it's prevalent in the workforce today. You got people running major organizations, people that's in political office. We all know some of them, and they're dealing with some issues. And I think that's why we need to make sure that we define the show, because now we want our viewers to understand that you can go through something and come out on the other side better than you went in. And I think that's what you guys will bring to the show today. And that's what means a lot to me, because we all know somebody like you. We all know somebody like you. And sometimes it's us.
Yeah, okay.
And we don't want to identify it. I say we really need to define people in reality terms now, because everybody's trying to put up, not everybody, a lot of people are trying to put up a front. And they don't know that, like you can help somebody if you just be open, because some of the same people are going through some of the same things. As far as you being a business person and closing your doors so that you can help someone, shows the commitment that you have for what you went through, and the fact that now you can help someone through that unpleasant experience. And I'm glad to be on the show today. I was going to make some light of some things, but this is such a serious subject at this point that I'm not going to do that, because I want you guys to talk about how you got started. The first intro, is it true that it's the drink, and then it's the marijuana, and then it's the next drug, and the next drug till you get to the level that you guys got to? I just want you to explain that, so that the people that know that's smoking that joint right now, that's looking at us, to know that there's a possibility that it will take them to a height that they don't want to get to. So with that said, I'll turn it over to you guys.
Okay. Well, for myself, just like I said, I'm a country boy, and I came through in late 50s, and only thing that was around me at the time was alcohol, So the first time I got drunk, I think I was about 12 years old. And
you were 12?
12.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And
I'm both from North Carolina. So if you got drunk up there at 12, it was moonshine.
That moonshine.
Well, I know about moonshine too. Matter of fact, I love it.
White lightning.
Yeah, moonshine kind of special, Yeah.
So what did you slip and take a drink and liked it?
No, I used to hang out.
I
used to hang out with the older crew.
Okay.
Always wanted to be around the older boys. Like they knew more, and I just wanted to be a part of.
Okay.
And that's pretty much what it was.
So yours was more like acceptance.
Yeah, that's all. That's all it was about. Just plain down acceptance. Not believing. There was something else available other than what I saw around me. Just didn't believe anything else was available.
So at 12, you got drunk at your first time, and you went from where? From 12.
I know I drunk liquor and wine all the way through high school, And then I went to Marine Corps. And when I went to Marine Corps, I ran into some people out of New York and Philadelphia and got introduced to my first joint of marijuana. And at the time, see, there wasn't no drugs in the community that I came from.
Yeah, most of us, we didn't know a whole lot about drugs at that time.
Yeah. So
the entertainers, they were doing what you ended up doing years ago.
Yeah.
And well, then, I ain't cutting you off.
Yes, you are, but go ahead.
My thing is that the drug that you is an expensive habit.
We're going to get to that.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get to that. He's going to walk us through that. We're going to find out how he supported it.
I want to ask this
Let
young
me
lady
get him
that.
out the Marines first.
Okay, go ahead. You see why I had to put up with every
Well, I'm trying to follow this thing because it's important, because I want to know at what point that I see that I might be able to pull somebody else's coattail. Because when you see things out here, you want to help some folks, but you don't know exactly what stage they're at, and you don't know what to do. So,
well, if you ain't done it, you don't know how to do it. That's why they know how to grab.
My brother ain't never had a baby, OBGYN. Next. Go ahead.
Yeah, but anyway, just like I said, I started smoking marijuana, and I just loved it, and but then I ran into this old white boy. He's from Springfield, Massachusetts, and he taught me, something about, coming through when I came through, I would kind of listen to white boys, kind of like my background, But that boy talked me into putting some heroin in my vein, and I fell in love.
Now, did he shoot you, or did you shoot yourself, or how did y'all? What was that?
Yeah, he fired me up the first time. Yeah, the first time.
Because you had no idea what to do.
No idea what to do with it. Afraid, everything else. I'm the one guy that ran out the doctor's office, because he didn't want no shot. But when that heroin hit my system, it like I fell in love. I didn't care nothing about women or nothing else anymore. And then it was just off to the races after that. Like whatever it took to get high. And that's kind of like the way I live.
Okay, now it's a good time for his question to kick in.
Okay.
Whatever it took for you to get high,
Mm-hmm.
how did you support your habit?
But to me, one other question. We know that you had to support your habit some kind of way, but when did you know that it was time for you to get off?
When I recognized that I couldn't quit.
How many years? That was.
How many years?
That was from the time that you started. How many years though?
That was about 7 or 8 years.
So
afterwards, after your first time.
After the first time I shot heroin,
Was it a weekly thing or a daily thing or what?
Nah, I'm the kind of guy that I shot dope all day long, every day.
Now let's get back to how could you afford
function. Oh yeah.
And didn't you tell me once that you spent like $600 a day?
Yes, that was toward the end.
That was what?
No,
towards the end.
That was toward the end.
But how can you afford $600 a day?
Well, it was toward the
I
end.
couldn't afford it. Now looking backwards, now coming through, like I was always afraid about where's the money coming from, and like when I first got started, I didn't know how to do anything,
But you were in Marine. Marine ain't paying that kind of money.
No. I gravitated toward the hustlers. I always wanted to be around the people that I thought were, cooler than me, and could do more stuff than I could do, And I've always gravitated toward them, And when I first got started, I was always afraid, So I was always asking questions about how to get money, I didn't care nothing about how I got it, It just didn't matter, And I've done a lot of things, I've done a lot of things,
Now that you have gotten away and you've grown and you have accepted God as one of those.
That's a good line, Mr. Jackson. Hold on, wait a minute, because it had to be some hurt and some pain and something else to drive him there.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to skip to that. I want him to talk about the misery he went through with the $600 a day he couldn't afford, and he was getting sick and tired of shooting up every day, and he wanted some help. That's out of God.
Okay, well, speed on up then, Carlton. We ain't got 30 minutes left.
But that's where I want you to go now. Because you're shooting up, and you've done it 7 or 8 years, so now you're $600 a day, and you can't afford it. Take us from that point, bring us up to date.
Well, now looking backwards, God has always had things in place for me to get whatever I needed.
Oh,
For
okay.
instance, and like toward the end when I was at the $600 a day level, my experience with the streets had increased. It had really grown. At that time, I was dealing with banks. Like back in the old days, like the banks would, if you had a account, you could deposit a check in your account.
Kiting. It's called kiting.
Yeah, well, you could deposit a check in your account, but they would actually cash a check against your account.
Yeah.
They would actually cash one against your account, and so I did that for a long time, and well, it wasn't a long, what I call a long time, it was about a 3-month period. Then I found out I could do better, if I could get accounts in other folks' names, and ride around and have them do it, and I kind of like sit back in the car, and that kind of thing, because you need to.
Well, you learned the ways how to
Yeah,
do it.
right. You just learn about
Right.
the streets. I'm just kind of like giving you the bad and
That's
bones,
what we
guts
want
of
to
it
do.
right now about how I really was doing it. Toward the end.
Right.
But that's been a lot of years ago now, and I'm so glad.
Well, we know it 27 years,
Mhm.
at least 27.
Mhm.
But now back to what you just said, that God always would make a way for you. How did you know that He was making the way and that you should respect Him a little more?
Didn't know it at the time.
Oh, okay.
At the time, I didn't know it. That came after my man here was talking about after the misery. After the misery set in, and then I get to the fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous, and somebody took me by my hand, like I do Chantaye, Somebody took me by my hand and started talking to me.
Did somebody take you there first? Did somebody recognize you? Did you just go to NA or somebody said, look, man, come on, go with me?
No, I went kicking and screaming.
No.
The system. What happened was I had a 10-year sentence, and they let me out on parole. And so I went straight back to the streets and got busted again in Douglasville. And after I got busted in Douglasville, they sent me back to prison for another 6 months. And when I got out this time, they mandated me to a treatment program.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can you hold that one minute? I want to talk about one thing. While you were in prison, what happened in prison? I mean, you didn't get any in prison, I don't assume. I know you can.
Right.
Did you?
No. See, I mean, like who I am as a human being, like my basic background is just a good boy. And I've always had things that I wanted to do but couldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore, like when the drugs are out, you just go back to being who you are.
So you didn't have. So in prison you were okay.
Yeah,
I mean, you weren't having the.
I had one thing on.
And cravings and got to have it.
By the time I got to prison, you done sit in jail a long time before you get that far. Okay. So you don't get over all that. And when I was in prison, all I didn't want but one thing. I said, I ain't doing no dope because I want out of here.
Yeah.
That was just it.
Okay, now we've talked to you, and this lovely young lady sitting here, and she has a story to tell because not only, I don't know if she used drugs or not, but she done been through a lot of other stuff, and she has been disappointed by people have promised her stuff and didn't. And I heard her say that she was sort of that kind of person that would fall for the big one, the kingpins of the things, and ones that was doing a whole lot. So you were the kind that you had to have the top of whatever it was.
No, not necessarily. I mean, for me, I was like.
What, did you ever use drugs?
No. When I was, I take that back. When I was like 18, I smoked marijuana about 20 times in my life. But I was diagnosed with schizophrenia. When I was 15, I had a near-death experience, and I got diagnosed with depression, but it was never treated.
What do you mean near-death experience?
I almost overdosed on some over-the-counter pills. So they said I wasn't trying to commit suicide, but the psychiatrist said I was depressed.
How did you know that these was pills that were being 15? You probably don't know.
Well, no, I knew.
Did you know what you were doing?
I didn't know. I was taking pills too close in proximity.
But did you know that you were about to overdose?
No.
So you figured you just making you.
I just was taking some sleeping pills to get me some rest.
Well, what were you doing up so long that needed to rest?
I was actually pregnant. My story has been one where a lot of the things that I've done have been out of like a sexual addiction in a way as well. So when I was 15, I was pregnant, but I was also that varsity cheerleader, straight A student, involved in all of the organizations, spoke 4 languages, played 3 instruments. But I got pregnant, and with being so popular, other people knew about it, and I kind of got depressed, wanted to stay in my house, and I ended up taking almost 20 pills in one day.
Okay.
So it wasn't at one time. It was like I'd take 2 here, and then maybe an hour later I might take 2 or 3 more. And by the evening I'd taken so many, and with me being pregnant, they rushed me to the hospital, and I was institutionalized for like 3 weeks for them to make sure that I wasn't trying to commit suicide. But no one ever, people would say that I was crazy, but no one ever actually diagnosed me of anything until I literally was walking around talking to myself. And then I got diagnosed with schizophrenia and put on medications, and that's part of the court mandate. But I really had a lot of traumatic things that I just never dealt with.
And before 15?
No, I got diagnosed with schizophrenia about 6 months ago.
No, I mean, you had a lot of tragic things to happen.
Yes.
Before 15?
Yes.
Age of 15?
Yes. Like my father.
Abuse?
Well, no, I never was sexually abused, but like my father died in front of me when I was 9. About 9 months later, my mom almost had a nervous breakdown, so she went into the military, and she went straight from basic training to war. And I lived with my grandparents. My grandmother got diagnosed with cancer when I was 10, so I was going through chemotherapy with her. She died of cancer when I was 11. My mom had come back from Desert Storm. My grandfather died of a heart attack 6 months after my grandmother, and my mom had to go to Korea for a year and a half after, 3 months after my grandfather died. So in a matter of 4 years, I'd lost my father, my grandmother, my grandfather, and my mom was in another country without me. She was in the military 8 years and away from me for 5.
And you dealing with all of this by yourself?
I had my aunt, who was only a couple of years older than me, became my legal guardian, so I started having sex at an early age. Like I started being sexually active when I was 13. And
with older?
My first time, he was 18 and I was 13. But I pretty much had the same boyfriend throughout high school. So I wasn't overly promiscuous. I just liked to have sex. So in my lifetime, I've had a lot of sexual partners. And not all of them have been kingpins or anything. It was just my last kind of lengthy relationship. I was a partner in a club. We launched the club because the police had harassed him, and he sued the police in the city and won a lawsuit, and we took that money and opened a club. And then one day I'm watching my partners on TV, and the guy that I was dating ended up being charged with, he had 30 pending, he still might have 30 pending felony convictions, one of which was kingpin charges. So a lot of times it's like...
What's the kingpin charge?
Well, it's rumored that he would spend about $250,000 a month just for drugs.
Oh, okay.
He did have a previous felony conviction for cocaine trafficking, but...
So he actually, if you spend that kind of money, so a kingpin, that's in the big money, where that kind of money they have to bail out, to have bails out.
Yes.
So you you probably ain't seen a suitcase of money, but they say these guys carry suitcases of money.
Yes.
Wow, that is some experience you had, and I like the idea that you've getting away from all that you've moved away, but at 15 you had gone through quite a bit, and I can see why. I think that maybe your popularity and you being pregnant, you couldn't continue to do all those popular things.
Well, I still did.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, I still did. I mean, I was kind of like an overachiever when I was By the time that I was 21, I was licensed in 4 states as an insurance agent. Like, I was an insurance agent while I was in college. I taught classes at John Casablanca's acting and modeling school on the weekends for 5 years. I'm 32 now. I've been executive director of marketing for black business professionals. I've been around major artists, major football players, a couple of major, like, where you'd recognize them by name, boxers. So I was around, like, the lifestyle, but, like, one of the big things that they talk about in the fellowship is it's not necessarily the drugs. If it's not the drugs, it's the lifestyle.
Okay.
You know, and so it's like a lot of times people think that it's glamorous to be around these kinds of guys, but I mean, I've been raped a couple of times. When I used to drink, I would binge drink, and that would mean I might go an entire year without drinking anything, and then I might have me a one day a year where I feel like I want to drink 20 shots of Patron. And in those drinking times, I've had a powerful entertainment attorney to slip a drink or slip something in a glass of wine.
What do you call a Mickey?
Yep. Which had me in the hood, getting dropped off in a cab at 3 o'clock in the morning, a cab driver driving me around until I was coherent because I passed out in his car. And for 3 days, still not being able to stand up, not being able to really function.
Well, how old were you when all this happened?
This was like 2 years ago. That.
Okay, you were grown then.
Mhm.
Okay, so did when did you finish high school with the same folks that you started with, your same classmate?
Yes. I
So-
I graduated when I was 17 from high school. I got a college degree and everything.
Well, no, because you down there in Savannah, so anybody.
Leave that one. Well, I'm telling you, though, this show is. Whew, I think we've had some powerful shows in the past, but let me say this: the two of you with your openness, and in fact, what I really like is the fact that you talk about you being a country boy, and the fact that you are above, quote unquote, the average young lady that's coming up today or yesterday. And you had all of this going for you. And this is what I really, this is what I really like and admire. The fact that you can talk about it so openly. And second of all, they like to say you came from a bad home. You didn't have this. Your grade point average was low. And they put all these things on why we do what we do. And you are a total exception to that rule, from what I'm hearing. And that's why the audience needs to know that. Don't be fooled.
You can come out of anything.
Yeah, my mom was an avionics mechanic, so she worked, like, I grew up going to the different hangars. When she got out of the military, she was an avionics mechanic, and she traveled. So, I traveled around. I wasn't that kid that was lacking. Our family has several hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of land in a family trust. So, it can just happen to anyone. I was off and on homeless because, a lot of times I guess the biggest thing is not being diagnosed with schizophrenia. So I'd be off and on homeless instead of looking at, okay, where am I going to live next? For me to get out of a relationship, sometimes I might just pick up a bag, leave clothes, shoes, jewelry, everything behind, and just pick up a bag and move out of state. And that was my solution. Like, anytime that a relationship went bad, I would just move. And that led to me having different evictions. One time I got evicted from an apartment where I ended up going through court trying to fight the landlord because the landlord walked in on me in my underclothes, and I refused to pay my rent after that. And he fought me, and I ended up having an eviction behind it. And so when it's time to move on, you still have to deal with that kind of stuff. So, like, sexual violation, sexual assault, there are things that we don't talk about a lot in our community, and where you just overlook it. Like, when I got raped, I didn't think that I was really raped, I considered it just rough sex because it was someone that I was in a relationship with. I remember wearing a wig and he pulled my hair, the combs dug into my scalp, he choked me, and I cried the whole time. But since it was someone that I had sex on a regular basis with, I wouldn't, I never reported it, and I didn't consider myself raped. It was like, oh, it was just some rough sex, and you don't think anything else about it. But then when I lost my mind, it was more just all of the years of trauma and stress and me never dealing with it, and then one day I had to deal with it.
What did you say when you what?
Lost my mind. I mean, I was walking around talking to myself.
What is that diagnosis of?
Schizophrenia.
Yeah. Would you help me with the definition of what that means?
I actually had a psychotic break, and schizophrenia is multiple personalities. Mm-hmm. The irony is, in March, I was in the airport saying that someone had left me a plane ticket to Paris. I didn't know who the person was. I didn't know where the ticket was coming from. But the irony was, in December, I actually had a letter from a senator on a senator's letterhead for my passport, and someone else had just bought me a ticket to the Bahamas, and another group had promised me a reality show in a mansion. So 3 months later, I'm walking around with my son. I have a 6-year-old, so I'm a single parent, with my son in the airport looking for a plane ticket that doesn't exist.
So did you actually have a letterhead?
No, in December I did have a letter from a senator.
You did have one?
Yes.
Okay, so that started the unraveling.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it was also like dealing with the homelessness, dealing with all of the traumatic issues, still trying to take care of my child, and being in a circle of power, I guess, as you'd say, because those people were much more powerful and influential than me, and I was just struggling to stay afloat and to keep my mind, which, the greatest thing that I could have done was to actually go overboard and lose it, because now it helps me to be able to cope and to be able to just be real about who I am and make better choices. Back then, you know that something's wrong, you just don't know what's wrong, and you don't know how to make it better. And because I was always so ambitious, I could sit and say that I was on my way to the moon, and people around me would believe it, because I always did, I'd venture outside of the box.
Thing. Okay. Now, we have kind of brought up to date to where we are now. So now we're going to look for the next step that we're going to go together. Mm-hmm. We were talking about when you guys was over last week, and I met with y'all the other day, we were talking about a reality place of where you live or what's going on out there and what make it a good place for a reality show. So I was out there just to check it out to see.
Yeah, right.
If that was
what chair number is he, y'all? Tell me, what's his chair number?
And as we looked around, and you showed me the different people with the different personalities and the different y'all introduced me some y'all said he was a man and he had changed his sex. And and they got all that going on out there. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna call his name, but the little fella that was in there was all upset because his boyfriend hadn't showed up, and he was going back on drugs because of it. I mean, this is a reality, and it was some crazy stuff going on. So we were talking about. Rob said he's gonna get a camera, and we're gonna start taking pictures of all this.
Well, you can't just take no pictures. You have to get authorization to do all that stuff.
Well, you asked him about it.
Yeah, we're gonna get them.
Yeah, you're gonna get them.
Yeah. Okay. So we get the contract drawn up.
Okay, thank you.
So.
Because if that's the case, I'd have you all on YouTube.
Well, I've been waiting you put me on there.
but so that's the direction that you guys are going in with that.
So tell us a little about the idea that you got You know, and I know that you got people from what you told me the other day that's in show business. You got folk, you still got friends that's doing it. You still got friends that's been there with different stuff. So let me know some of the places that you're going with it and how you're going to get there. And I know we're going to sit down and write this up. And one thing about Whitney, before I say something, is he's creating jobs. He has a soap powder that I'm great big old 5 gallons. What's it? 5 gallons?
Yeah, liquid. Yeah, liquid detergent.
Detergent that he let the fellas go out and sell to make money, and he's not trying to make a whole lot of money off it. He's helping a lot of guys. And
so do I get one of those?
No, you ain't get me nothing now. So I mean, I'm the only somebody.
Because I know he already got his in advance. That's how you got on the show. But with that said, I think that's a great idea because, you know, with him talking about, you know, trying to help people and you doing it, you know, that's the difference with what a lot of us do. We like to talk about helping folks, but you're actually doing it, and that makes a big difference. So you want to talk about that? Can he talk about that?
Yeah, talk about that. Then she going to tell us, because we got 10 minutes, 5 for you and 5 for her.
I mean, just nothing saying. See, I'm obligated. I'm just plain obligated, you know. That's why I do what I do.
But let me say this, and the only reason I'm saying it like this is because you feel that you're obligated. There's so many people that are also as then not doing it. So I mean, it's an exception for you to do this, and we don't ever want to take something like that for granted because you don't have to do it.
No, I don't.
But you feel you have to do it. So,
but see, this is what we want the world to see.
That's what.
That you're doing things.
Right.
You mean, you know, see, we say that we want to create jobs, and we get all these politicians, all this rhetoric, and you hear folks say, why don't we do this? And everybody needs to be working, and everybody, but nobody is trying to create it. You are giving them opportunity to do it.
And the big difference is that everybody think they got to have $2 million to start a program. That's why I want you to talk about it. I'm sure you don't have a $2 million program that you're working from. So you start with what you have, and then you work your way up because we don't know where this might go with what you're doing, and we got to stop talking so you can talk about it.
He got 2 more minutes because she got to talk last 5 minutes.
What do you do with that? What do you do with the soap? Talk about that. How you help people? How do they get involved so that they can go out and create some income for themselves, because I'm assuming they're getting some income from it.
Well, see, I buy the detergent at below wholesale.
Okay.
And then I just sell it. I sell to them at wholesale prices.
Okay.
And that's kind of like the way it goes. You
okay.
know? And I ain't big on talking about Bob, you know, and what he do. You know, I mean,
we don't want you to be big talking about Bob. We just want you to talk about what Bob does.
Yeah.
I mean, because
I get embarrassed though. I mean,
no,
you know,
but you
I get real self-conscious.
But
you're helping people.
See, you're
out the way.
I'm saying, you know, but it's for others to decide what's helping, what's not helping. You know, I just have to do what's in front of me.
So how do we know about Bob if Bob doesn't talk about Bob?
You don't know about me unless I ask you. I mean, listen.
Somebody else say. So you want somebody else to glorify you. You ain't trying to glorify yourself.
No, see, and that's the problem. Don't even use that terminology because that's what he doesn't want to hear. He wants to move himself out the way. He doesn't want to be glorified. He don't want to be put up front.
He don't want to do all that.
But we want to know what you're doing so that we can share with other folks. Because there's some folks, I tell my wife and everybody else, everybody ain't broke.
Sure ain't.
Everybody ain't broke.
Sure ain't.
So, I mean, if you can help somebody at the level that you're at, then I think it's important for the people to know that. So, like I say, just get Bob, put Bob over there on that chair and just
tell them how to reach you, Bob.
Yeah.
How to get in contact with you, and you'll show them how to be an entrepreneur.
Thanks.
That's all I want to say.
Okay. Well, I'm located at 1326 White Street in Southwest Atlanta, Georgia.
On White Street doing black things. I mean,
yes.
Doing things.
Yeah, doing things.
So when can they see you there? When are you there?
Oh, now,
I know you be. I know at 2:00, from 2 to 4, you over there at ENA.
Yeah, from 2 to 4. I mean, you know, that's about the only place you can be sure to catch me Monday through Friday. Is 377 Westchester. You know, you can always catch me there. But most of the time when I at work, there's just too many things that has to be done that I can't necessarily be tied to the store. And that's one thing. God has blessed me with a lot of good people around me that get the job done. Like that store pretty much can run itself now.
Oh, really?
You know, that's why I'm free to do a lot of other stuff. You know, and I do a lot of shopping and that kind of thing. You know, because I mean I sell all kind of wholesale items. You know.
Now see, now I'm gonna tell you what. Not talking about Bob. See, I overheard this soap deal thing through him and your brother. I never knew the circle. Nobody ever approached me with it. I've never been asked about buying it or anything like that. That's why somebody needs to talk about Bob. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Because you can't get exposed if nobody don't know what you're doing.
And
he's secret.
Yeah, you know I'm secret.
Long as he get his 5 gallons, he fine.
Yeah.
Go ahead, man. It's your turn.
Okay, now tell us what you're gonna do and how you're gonna do it, because you got 5 minutes.
Okay, well, the direction that we're looking at around making a way, there's a lot of inspirational stories. Like, I may have overcome a lot of traumatic incidents, but there's people who have been homeless because they were battling with cancer. And that by them going through chemo, it involved them losing their home, losing their job, and things of that nature. There's a gentleman over there who came up during the civil rights era and used to just have the police take him off to jail and sell everything at his business and take his money. And he was off and on in jail and homeless back behind that. And then you have people who are living with HIV and AIDS. And you also have people who are transgender. There's members of the transgender community. There's people with mental issues. It's a little bit of everything at Making a Way. So what we're looking at doing is putting together a reality show that's also like a documentary as well, where people can actually be highlighted to show their stories, and to hopefully inspire someone and empower a lot of the youth coming up behind. Because a lot of times there's a lot of glory or there's a glorification to drugs and to drug use and to the lifestyle and everything else. And everyone thinks of it as being glamorous, but there's a side of it that's not so glamorous. And when people see the transgenders in their hair and their makeup, they think that's glamorous. But there's people who are suffering behind wanting to be women so desperately that it's almost killing them. And so we're going to put together different stories and put it all in it's a sitcom over there. Like, it's when I say I had a group promise me a reality show, it took me being in the program for 3 months before I realized that nobody was going to come and bring me a check, because I kept thinking, oh, this must be it. This is the reality show. And when I woke up and realized no one was bringing me a check, this is just it. This is reality. I think that it's a great opportunity to be able to help others' lives. After we put together the stories, then I have a couple of people out in LA that's going to shop it to some major networks and try to get it picked up to be able to actually change lives.
Okay, these people that you're talking about, these are people that you can trust and know that they're going to do what's right and not try to steal the whole glory of, not so much glory of this whole program.
They're people that I've known for some years.
All right.
So in your traveling, from what I understand, you say that you would just get up and go different places. So that means that you've done a lot of traveling. You've done a lot of traveling with your mom. What made you settle on Atlanta? Is it because that this was where the movies and everything is being made?
No, I went to school here. I went to Georgia State, and by my life coach, I actually have a life coach that recommended that I move back from Florida to Atlanta.
From Florida? Are you from Florida?
No, I was born in Michigan, and I grew up in Savannah, Georgia.
Okay.
And like I said, I would just get up and move. And I was in Florida, and my life coach was based here out of Atlanta. And I said I wanted a life coach that was the exact opposite of me. So I got a middle-aged gay white guy to be my life coach. And
you got a what?
He was a middle-aged gay white guy, and he was my life coach. And he was like, you just need to move from there and come back to Atlanta. So that's what made me come back to Atlanta.
Okay.
And how I got back to Atlanta, I ended up going to, because at this point everybody around me was going to prison, since they had made the news and everything else. So I went and got some food stamps, sold the food stamps, got a Greyhound bus ticket, and moved me and my son back with one suitcase each, and that's how I came back to Atlanta.
Well, I'm saddened by hearing all of this, and I'm happy to know that it's where it is now. But I mean, I really want to commend you, because it really takes people like you to recognize, and I think that you'll be a great stability in her life forward, and because you got the balance. And that's what people are missing out here, is the balance. Because, really there needs to be a AA for liars, cheaters, food addicted people. We always like to pick on the drug addicts and the alcoholics, but we don't talk about the rest of those folks that have those addictions that's hurting and killing people. Liars. There's some people that's really hurting folks with those kind of addictions, but we play them off because it's so easy to pick on the people that's got the alcohol problem or the drug problem. And
you know what? You hit on something that is so true. A lot of these other addictions just as bad or hurt just as many folks, but because you can laugh at this liar, you don't think it's hurting nobody. And just like over there when I was with them at the meeting, say Bob, Bob got over there. He said he went next. No, you got to tell your story. So they look for him over there for leadership.
Yeah.
And she's the queen over there. She runs things over there. When I walked in there, she was telling them how to put things together. So we got two leaders here, two people who won't let nobody stop them.
Yeah.
And that's what I like. We want to thank y'all for being here. We've really enjoyed you.
And this was enlightening. This is one of the, and I don't say this too often.
You do say it every week.
No, I don't. I know. This is one of the best shows because I think it's going to help a lot of people. And I know we're going to take this show and do something with it. It's definitely going to be archived on the website. And
we are going to, they're going to have their own show, and we're going to put that together. And, these are the kind of folks that we want to be around.
Yeah. Because
we know that we can tell somebody, you want a job, go see Bob. Yeah. See, she's going to teach them how, in the movies, and she got a life coach teaching her, and she's going to pass some of that experience on down. We all need a life coach, and we can select according to what we want to get out of it. Mm-hmm. And I was kidding her but she knew what she wanted to get out of a life coach. Mm-hmm. And we all need one. He's a life coach. Mm-hmm. He got a mentee who's done got rich, but she followed his lead. Mm-hmm. And she's a pastor now. He said he went to a wedding.
Look,
and they just had all kinds of great
we're really
things.
At the point now where we want to thank you all for tuning in. And be here next Thursday with OGs at 11 because we're going to have another great show. And thank you again for tuning in. Thank the guests. You guys are wonderful. We really appreciate what you brought to the show today. And with that said,
we're out.
We out of here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On the other hand, she could be answering